Okay, hello everyone. I hope you're all doing well. All right. Okay, so let's talk about Camel case. All right. So what's Camel case? Right, first of all, let me just go ahead and have a little comment here and say Camel case or Camel casing or okay. So in the last video, we tried to create a variable my name, right? So well, it's fun. It just came to mind that I had an int variable and I said my name, right? And it wasn't actually supposed to be an integer. It was supposed to be a string. If you saw it, hey, it's fine. I was just trying to illustrate the fact that you can have spaces in your variables. And it just crossed my mind. But really, my name, well, I guess you can have a name of, let's say, hey, 1 2 3 or something. 1 2 3. Some people have numbers, in their names, or some people just have numbers as their as their name. So I guess they can work. But I was trying to illustrate that you can have spaces in your names. All right. Because actually a name would actually be a string. Okay, so that was just by the way. All right, so we tried to create a variable, let's say my name, but in this case it's really a bad example. So let's use an example that makes sense. Let's say we wanted to create a variable, let's call it number of shoes, right? Number of shoes. Now this is valid. It meets all the rules, for naming variables. It meets that, so we're fine. But you can see that it's a bit hard to read, right? You can see that when you type in number of shoes like this, it's a bit hard to read, right? And instead of number of shoes, instead of writing it this way, now you can have so many lines of code with so many variables, some of them long. If you have variables like this, it's going to be hard to read them, right? It can even be a really long name. Let's say a five-letter worded word. So you can say number of shoes in closet. You can have a variable like this, but it's a bit hard to read. Although you can read it, it's a bit hard to read, right? So because of that, programmers or people involved in programming, they came up with a style or it's a very popular style called Camel case that allows you to basically name variables with multiple words in a way that is easy to read. And this is how we would, for example, define number of shoes using Camel case. The very first letter is always a lowercase letter, right? So number, but any word after that, the very first letter of any word after the number or after the first word is capitalized. So number of shoes would be number of shoes this way. You can see this is a bit easier to read, right? Because we have number, right, and the first letter of the next word is capitalized, and then we have a small letter, right? So number of, and then the first letter of the third word is S, is capitalized, and then everything else is lowercase. All right. So another example, int. Let's say so far we've looked at int. We haven't looked into detail about int, but we've seen an overview. You understand that you can create a variable called, let's say, my savings, right? You can say my pencils, right? You can create a variable called my pencils, and we can define it in such a way that it accepts only integers, right? So we understand this, but again, we'll look more into variables. So this example, my pencils this is certainly valid. We need to type in our semicolon. It's definitely valid, but again, Camel casing, it's not required. If you don't do Camel casing, or if you don't name your variables using Camel casing, you're not going to be punished, or you're not going to get an error or anything. It's just an advice. It's just a way to help you actually, because you're going to write long lines of code, and you're going to have so many variables that you just need to make sure they are easy to read, so that it's better for you, right? It makes your program very easy to read, so that when another programmer sees your code, they can understand it and they can read it easily. So instead of naming my pencils this way, we can use Camel casing, right? The very first word, everything is lowercase, right? Any word after that, the very first letter is capitalized, right? So any word or words after that, after the very first word, which is all lowercase, the first letter of any word after it is capitalized. So pencils is the next word, right? But then the very first letter, we should go ahead and capitalize it like this. Okay, my pencils, all right? So let's try. So we can see that this is much more easier to read. You can see it's my pencils. And let's try another one. Let's try, let's say, number of, or let's try something like, let's say, user answer, right? User answer. Instead of defining it this way, user answer. Right? It's a bit hard to read, so let's go ahead and define it as user answer. First word, everything is lowercase, but any word after that, or any word or words after that, the very first letter of each word is capitalized. So answer here, A will be capitalized. And this is Camel case. It makes our variable names easy to read and understand, right? So yeah, so that's it. So this is, again, Camel case is just to help with code readability, so that we can understand and read our codes and without any difficulty. All right, so that's it. I just trying to think if there's anything I should mention to it. But yeah, this is Camel casing. I don't think there's anything I want to add to this now. We're fine. If you have any questions, please comment down below, and I'll do everything to respond to it or respond to them. Take care of yourselves. Have a good day. Have a good night. Have a good sleep. Have a nice time. And I'll see you next time with the next video. All right then. Bye-bye.